There's this myth around comfort zones that's stopping you from experiencing not only the fulfillment and happiness that you want from your success, but it might also be stopping you from even getting to your next level of success in the first place. Now, after I tell you what this myth is, I'm going to show you why it doesn't have to be your truth and, of course, how you can go about changing this belief. As a high achiever, I bet you've been told all of your life that you have to get out of your comfort zone to achieve anything worth having. And don't get me wrong, I bought into this myth too, until I looked back and realized that my life experience has proven that it doesn't have to be that way. People say this because they just don't realize that you don't have to dysregulate your nervous system in order to grow. And you've probably heard that you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah, I bet you've heard that 1,000 times or more. But again, this advice is coming from people who just don't know any better. Yeah, it's not that they're bad people or that they're lying to you. I have no doubt that for them, they're speaking their absolute truth. But I also guarantee that there is another way. A way that allows you to jump further, faster, without the stress, struggle, and recoil that often comes when you grow in the way that you've previously been taught. I learned the way that I'm about to share and developed this system way before I learned anything about personal development or universal laws or anything like that. This is something that I just did without really understanding what I was doing until years later, and I started to learn about identity and how the brain creates a self-concept that guides our behavior. Yeah, my first experience of doing this was when I first gave up smoking. I think it was 1998, and I was moving into a much more expensive area to go to university as a mature student to get my bachelor's degree in computer science. And the easiest way to save money was to stop smoking. So I decided that I was a non-smoker. Now, please pay attention to those particular words, yeah? I didn't decide that I was giving up smoking. I decided that I was a non-smoker because a non-smoker would never even think about having a cigarette, right? I stepped into the identity of a non-smoker so cleanly that I literally went from smoking 30 cigarettes a day to 0 overnight. The reason that people find it hard to give up smoking is the same reason that you've been told that you've got to get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, they just don't know the full power of embodied identity work. So when I work with people, what enables them to quantum leap into their new reality is that instead of them stepping out of their comfort zone, we expand the comfort zone they're in through nervous system regulation and really deep identity work. Yeah. And it starts with them feeling safe exactly where they are first. They get deeply grounded in their current life and in their current reality, so they are jumping from a solid foundation. And then through nervous system regulation and using their imagination and through deep embodiment of the identity that they choose to be, we retrain their brain to adopt the reality they choose as being inevitable. Yeah, they get so used to living in that new reality that they expand their window of tolerance. So when they physically experience their next level growth, it doesn't feel like a stretch. Yeah, it just feels like the natural next step to be taking. They don't experience the stress or fear that comes with stepping outside of your comfort zone, yeah? So they don't get that nervous system dysregulation. What this also means is that they don't experience the upper limit problem that Gay Hendricks talks about in his book, The Big Leap. And that affects so many high achievers. And like I say, this happens as a result of deeply embodying the version of you that you choose to be. Now, when most people try to expand their success, they do it whilst remaining the version of themselves that they were before they took that big leap, yeah? This is why the success doesn't feel comfortable or fulfilling, and why it doesn't feel as though they truly belong there. And it's not that they're not qualified, and it's not necessarily because they lack any self-belief or self-worth. It's because they're embodying a version of themselves that doesn't match their new reality. Yeah. And my personal experience verifies this too, because that's exactly what happened to me in my cake business. I quantum leaped in that business, but I didn't have the embodied identity to be able to hold it, which I realize now is why I burned out. Imposter syndrome destroyed my business and very nearly killed me. Now, I've spoken about my burnout story in another video, so if you're interested in hearing more about that, you can go and find that one. But suffice to say, that's not something I will ever experience again. So this identity and nervous system work not only allows you to leap further faster and stops you from experiencing the upper limit problem, it also reduces your chances of experiencing imposter syndrome. And, you really want to avoid that if you can. This is why I teach this stuff, right? I've experienced quantum leaping and I've experienced what happens without the embodiment piece. And honestly, that's what so many people fail to teach when they talk about quantum leaping. Everything I teach about, I've experienced, and it's also backed with neuroscience, psychology, spiritual teachings, etc. So I didn't just learn this stuff from books. I lived it and I continue to live it, and I continue to learn more and more about it every single day. Yeah? We are all a work in progress, just walking each other home, as Wayne Dyer once said. So going back, the next time someone says that you need to step out of your comfort zone, remember that you don't need to if you expand your comfort zone beyond the life that you're leaping into and you develop a self-concept of somebody who belongs there. And like I say, you do that through nervous system regulation, through your imagination, and through deep, deep identity embodiment. And if you want help with that, well, I recommend and invite you to join me in my paid group experience, the Mohapi Method to More Mentorship Program. Like all of my paid and free programs, it lives in my school community where we talk about the neuroscience, psychology, spirituality, and manifestation techniques of living a life that really does feel as good as it looks. So you'll find the link to that in the description. And if you missed my last video, it spoke about the one mindset shift and belief that you absolutely need to make all of your manifestations work. So you can click there to watch that next. I hope to see you in my community, and if I don't, well, just know that you are ready, and this is where it begins. I'll see you next time. Bye.